Welcome, and thank you all for coming. My name is Sandy Welfare. I'm a new face to a lot of you. I started directing this group in April, and I'm excited for our first concert together. We were supposed to have a concert Monday night. The weather interfered a little bit, but we're glad that we had another opportunity to give it to you today. So this group has worked very hard since I started in April, and I do things a little differently than the previous Handbell director, so it's been a learning curve for all of us, and they've rolled with the punches. Next up is the Early Bird Quintet. Um, Try not to count because there's actually six, but it's okay. It's okay. Um, Playing two pieces arranged by my friend Kath Wissinger for bells and chimes. And yeah, we needed a sixth person, so we're still calling it a quintet. We're just trying not to count too hard. Okay. I left my cheat sheet over here. Now, you might notice between each piece, we kind of have to shift some bells around. Everybody in this group is playing kind of different bells in every song. So they shift them around a little bit. It takes a little bit of coordination between the pieces. Um, I'll take this opportunity to thank my friend Ann Ortman, who stepped in this semester to sub when the quintet became a quartet, and to thank Tish Deal, who then stepped in at the last minute to bring us back up to a quintet. And that's how we ended up having a sextet today. So we're taking advantage of all the people that we can today to have enough people to play the songs. So now we're going to play I Saw Three Ships. I mentioned the chimes earlier, and I wanted to show you the difference. The handbells are made of bronze, and they sound like this. And the chimes are made of aluminum, these particular chimes, and different lengths of the chime produce the different tones. See that? If you came to the James River Ringers concert, when we played here a couple of weeks ago, we had chimes as tall as me, maybe taller, although that's not saying much. But we have chimes that are about 5 feet tall that we play with the James River Ringers. And then we have little teeny ones about this long and everything in between. Let's see. For this next piece, we're going to start on chimes, and then we're going to switch to bells, and then we're going to switch back to chimes. With the bells, please be on the lookout for an interesting technique. We do what we call an echo, where we ring the bell and then tap it lightly on the table, which makes sort of a womp womp sound. I love how this sounds, and it really makes a neat contrast to the rest of the piece. And I love how this arrangement switches back and forth between chimes and bells for the different verses. This was arranged by the previous bell director, Elizabeth. Everybody should have chimes. Did I turn Next comes the audience participation part of the program. If you'll turn your page of your program to the next page, you'll find some words. It's going to take a little setup over here. You can go on back if you want. We're going to sing some Christmas carols. And I don't know what are your favorite Christmas carols, but these are 4 of my favorite Christmas carols, so that's what we picked. So this is the beginner group with some friends playing. So I wanted to, well, the New Day Ringers will accompany us on bells while we sing these 4 songs. If you're interested in playing bells, the New Day Ringers will be starting some basic bell ringing and music reading lessons after the winter break in January. So we would love to have some new people join us. No experience necessary. I don't know if you noticed, but June is playing one-handed. This takes special talent. She, is it okay if I say, broke an arm a few weeks ago, and so we had to switch things around a little bit. So you can even do this with just one hand. So if you're interested in joining, please touch base with Sherilyn, and we'll get you set up to join us in January. For now, let's do some carol singing. So we're going to start with "Joy to the World." Is that our beat? June is going to give us our note. That's our starting note. Let me get my bells here. Okay. Ready, go. Joy to the world, the Lord is come. Let earth receive her King. Let every heart prepare their room, and let nature sing, and let nature sing, and let nature is F, which Kim has right there. There we go. Ready, go. Silent night, holy night, all is calm, all is bright, round the virgin mother and child, holy infant, so tender and mild, sleep in heavenly peace, sleep in heavenly peace. Silent night, holy night, shepherds wake at the sign, glory stream from heaven afar, heavenly hosts sing hallelujah. Christ the Savior is born. Christ the Savior is born. Silent night, holy night, silent night, love's pure light, radiant beams from thine holy face, with the dawn of redeeming grace. Jesus, Lord, thy birth. Jesus, Lord, thy birth. Next is the first Noel. We got a little bell switch here. I have the starting pitch on this one. Ready, go. The first Noel, the angels did say, was to certain poor shepherds in fields as they lay, in fields where they lay keeping their sheep on a cold winter's night that was so deep. Noel, 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 born is the King of Israel. They looked up and saw a star shining in the east beyond and far, and to the earth it gave great light, and so it continued both day and night. Noel, 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 born is the King of Israel, and by the light of that same star, 3 wise men came from the country afar, to seek for a king was their intent, and to follow the star wherever it went. Noel, 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 born is the King of Israel. I give you all an A+. Here's another winter favorite. Listen out at the very end of this piece for a technique called a martellato. This is a technique where the bell is tapped lightly on the table, maybe not so lightly, like that, to make a unique stopped sound. And I just want to point out that our tables are covered in foam if you're worried about the bells. I need a sip of water after all that singing. Next up, I'm going to play you a solo on this lovely bell tree over here with Ann James accompanying me on piano. The bells are strung together in a string, which we call a tree. In this case, I have two trees. Lower bells are closer to you in the back, and the higher bells are closer to me in the front. And I'm going to hit them with mallets, and the sound will just ring out. Unlike with these bells, when they play, they stop the sound against their bodies. There's no real way to do that. So you're just going to keep hearing the bells after I hit them. My understanding is that at some time, someone was carrying bells from one place to another during rehearsal to put them away or get them out, and they strung them together this way to make them easier to carry. And then they bumped into something and went, hey, that made a neat sound. So that's apparently how this happened. I went to a conference this summer called Into the Forest, where we had about 30 people playing bell trees all together. We even did a processional where we had like a flag belt and a pole with the bells strung on the pole, and we played and walked in. That is a special talent, let me tell you. That was not easy to do. So please enjoy, and thank you to Ann James for accompanying me. Let me see, where am I? So next up we have the quintet again. While they're setting up, I wanted to tell you that Cedarfield's handbells came from Brooklyn United Methodist Church when they closed, we think around 5 years ago. And then the chimes were purchased by an anonymous donor who donated funds for that purpose shortly after that. The pandemic has been terrible for handbell choirs. So many churches closed, so many handbells are sitting in closets unused. Churches went virtual, and this is not an easy thing to do virtually, although there were people who did, believe it or not. I'm so glad that these bells got a new life here at Cedarfield. Where did I put them? Oh, maybe they're under here. I can't talk without a cheat sheet. Now I wanted to tell you how handbells got their start. They actually got their start as a way to practice ringing those gigantic church bells in Europe, the ones in the big towers where you pull it with the rope and it swings back and forth and the sound rings out. So that's how they used to make announcements, keep time, and ring it for special occasions back in the day. And those bells, in some cases, could be heard up to 10 miles away. And that's how they let everybody know what was happening. If you watched Queen Elizabeth's funeral, you may have heard bits and pieces of a 3-hour long change ringing piece they played at Westminster Abbey in her honor. So if you imagine, the practice time for these church bells sort of disturbed the whole town, so someone invented the smaller set to practice with around 1700, we think. And then those morphed over the years into the bells that you see before you today. Now, enjoy another piece by the quintet. Lo, how a rose ere blooming. The handbells here at Cedarfield practice on Wednesdays. The quintet practices for an hour, and then the big group for an hour, and then the beginning group for a half hour or so. Go ahead and get ready for the next piece. We'll start back in January working on music for a program in April or May. The date has not been set yet, but watch your calendars. If you have handbell or music experience and are interested in joining us, talk to myself or to Sherilyn, who is our handbell liaison, which I'm not sure that I know how to spell. So if it's wrong in the program, I apologize for that. One of the unique things about handbells is that each person is just playing a tiny part of the music. Think of it like I took a piano and I gave each player only 3 or 4 keys. And the melody goes back and forth between all these people and between the bells and like it's a keys on a piano. It makes it challenging when somebody is missing. And fortunately, here we have a couple of people who can show up and substitute in a pinch. I want to thank Warren Way for doing that several times this semester, and my friend Ann and another friend who lives at Lakewood, Deb Loftus, has come and subbed for us a couple of times. Lakewood has started a chime choir, so she was very interested in seeing what you all are doing with your bells, because she really wants them to get bells as well. So is everybody set up for silver bells? Quintet has one more piece to share with you. Um, while they're setting up for that, does anyone have any questions about the bells? Yes. A set of bells. Right now, I think a 3-octave set, which is what we have, is in the neighborhood of $15,000. Brand new. Now, there are sets floating around out there, and generally, when they're used, they sell for about half price. They hold their value pretty well. Sometimes the inside bits and pieces, which are plastic in some cases, have to be replaced when the bells get older. My personal set here came from a church that I used to attend in North Carolina, and they're almost 40 years old now. So the insides of some of them do need to be replaced and fixed. That's a good question. And I was afraid someone was going to ask me how heavy they are, and I don't know the answer to that one. James River Ringers has some that are about this big, which weigh 8 or 12 pounds, I think. Any other questions? Yes. Yes, it can. It can get out of tune. It is very difficult to tune it again once that happens. Sometimes how it gets out of tune is if it gets bent or cracked. And in both of those cases, really the only answer is to have it replaced. And so Malmark, which makes the bells that we have, has a record of every group that has ever bought bells, and they know how exactly that they're tuned. If we needed to replace the D that Joy plays, then they would be able to give us one that sounds just exactly like it. It would be brand new, but it would fit in with the sound that we have. They do occasionally crack, especially if they're dropped, which happens. Yes. No, Amazon, as far as I know, does not. You can, however, buy them on eBay when someone is selling their personal sets. A lot of times they end up on eBay and some of those resale platforms like that. But there's two main manufacturers in North America, Malmark that makes ours, and Schulmerich is the other one. They're both located in Pennsylvania for some reason. One was an offshoot of the other. Somebody got mad and started their own bell company. And then it took over the world. And then there's a manufacturer in England that makes Whitechapel is that brand, and those are twice as expensive. Not sure why. They have leather handles instead of the plastic handles that these have, and it has a whole different sound. They do sound very different. Anything else? Okay, let's go on with Angels We've Heard on High. So this next piece is going to be our last piece. We want to thank you very much for coming, and we're glad you enjoyed, or we hope you enjoyed the program. We are sorry we only got to do it once, but I'm glad you were able to come today to see it. In this next piece, we're going to use mallets to strike the bells, similar to how I did on the bell tree, except the bells are all going to be sitting on the table when they're struck, making a unique sound. Would someone do that? Yeah. The players are also going to be hitting their mallets together to make a clicking sound, and Anne is going to be adding some other unique instruments to the mix. We want to wish you a very Merry Christmas, and thank you for coming. Thank you all very much, and you're welcome to come up and touch the bells and ask questions up close if you want. Thank you.